the biggest and largest fortune that the country has. And anything I can do to positively impact your path or sharing any information with you would be my pleasure and honor. So, as an introduction, I don't like to talk a lot about myself, but you can go to LinkedIn and Google and you find what I've been doing. So essentially, I'm a tech entrepreneur. I have uh, 26 years of experience in the tech industry, building solutions for businesses, for governments, and I dealt a lot with complexity. And I can't say I love or hate complexity. Complexity is just a way of life. One of the largest projects I worked on, or my lifetime project for the last 10 years, is an app that's called the Waraqi, WARAQI, if you've heard of it. And it was built and meant to simplify one of the largest hurdles that Morocco has with administrative services, which is muqata'a, for those of you who know, légalisation de signature, copie conforme, shahadat sukna, all the good stuff that pushes citizens. And tomorrow, when you're entrepreneurs or, just working force, you will hopefully not face because the solution is here. So this adventure of Waraqi, just to explain it to you, I mean, the day I got the idea was about 10 years ago. I walked into Muqata'a here in Rabat in Agdal, and I sat there waiting for 45 minutes so I can pay money and so I can have someone watch me sign a document after they verify my ID. At that point, I was like, this is totally useless. Why? The question is why? Well, why? The answer to that is long. It's societal trust. And here today, I'm talking to you about complexity. And I think that trust is one of the biggest triggers for complexity. Why do we have to sign in front of someone is because we don't trust each other, or maybe our government doesn't trust us, or we don't trust our government, and vice versa. So trust becomes at the core of everything that you will do in the future when you're hitting the workforce. Again, as entrepreneurs or as workforce, you will be dealing with trust, and you will see that trust generates complexity behind it. So if I want to rent this office I'm sitting in, I have to have 3 copies of the same contract. Me and the owner of the building, we have to go together to this muqata'a, and we have to sign 3 copies. 1 copy for me, 1 copy for him or her, and 1 copy must stay at the government office so that he can pay taxes on the income the rental will generate. Now there's a problem with this. When you rely on people, this complexity costs money. Now imagine millions of businessmen having to go to these offices and millions of people that go to these offices. Look at the time that's wasted because we can't just sign the contracts and inform the government that we need to pay taxes. So when you calculate all of this time that's wasted, and you also factor in the fact that that government employee, and I'm not generalizing or accusing everyone, sometimes will use it as leverage, and we have seen it happen. In this example I gave you, that government agent will sometimes request a little money, so he disregards the third documents. So to me, this is huge. If you have an analytic mind and you look at it, this is, to me, this is the highest betrayal of your country, because for 100 dirhams or 50 dirhams, you will prevent your city from receiving taxes for years and let someone make money without paying taxes. I mean, this is high treason. For this, you should be jailed or, for life, even if it's just 100 dirhams, because you're really betraying your country. So this is just an introduction of an example of complexity, or the biggest complexity I had to deal with. Add into this that today, as we speak, in Casablanca, the mayor decided to make this procedure even more complex because people are not respecting the rules, are not paying taxes on properties they rent. So she added that in order for me and the owner to sign these three contracts, we have to go to taxes and bring a receipt that we are all paid on taxes on that property. And then I have to go to the registrar office, Conservation Foncière, to get the owner certificate. So I have to bring two documents and then the three copies, and the three of us could sign. What did the mayor do or by deciding this? Well, they didn't solve the problem. They just changed the 100 dirham corruption cost to 1,000 dirham. That's it. Didn't solve the problem at its core. So this is just an introduction story about complexity. Now, to dive into this, and I know for your generation, storytelling is good, but I don't know if this story talks to you. I'm assuming most of you live on campus, or some of you had to rent an apartment, and this is already talking to you. But don't worry. I mean, you will see it tomorrow when you sign your work contract. You'll see it when you have to sign contracts. This phenomenon to me, I lived in the US for 10 years. 10 years in Colorado. I notarized my signature twice when I bought a house and when I had to do a power of attorney so that my brother can sell my vehicles in my place. When I came back to my dear country, I have to notarize everything, légaliser tous les documents, like everything, work contract, lease, rent, credit contract, government contract, even resignation letters, people have to sign them. Even like in call centers, when they blame you 3 times before they terminate your employment, they give you the document that you have to take to Muqata'a and get it notarized, okay? Because if they want to fire you, you can bring the work inspector and tell the inspector, they never blamed me. They just want to fire me. So because there is no trust between the employee and employer. So you have to go to get that signature notarized. There is another case that's really weird. I mean, we've seen people go notarize receipts. If I pay you back or I pay you in cash, I have to get a receipt signed by you. No. Get it notarized that you signed it and you received the money. There's even worse. We saw that some private schools or schools, when they do travel, they ask the students to go get the father or mother to sign the document authorizing the travel and get it notarized because the kid might falsify the signature. There's another atrocity that to me, it really moved me when I heard it. It happened in one of the cities in Morocco years ago, is that we actually, through this process of signature notary, unfortunately, we legalize pedophilia because some foreigners will come to Morocco and they will go to poor families in villages and they will tell them, hey, I convert to Islam, I say Shahada, and we do Fatiha, and I signed and notarized an engagement that if I divorce this kid who's 13 or 15 or 16, I'll pay you money. And because people in poverty and ignorance, they don't understand that document that they signed at Muqata'a it's not, it shouldn't be signed. It's an atrocity. But they are reassured because that stamp from the government makes it really official. And then they give away their daughters, to underage marriage. And after a few months or whatever, they come back and they pay the money and they return the girl. So to me, these what I described are part of the complexity that really threatens our society. And as a Moroccan citizen and an expert in digital transformation, I felt that it was my role and my duty to work on this. And I worked on it for 10 years. The app is now available. It's going to be deployed officially again in GITEX this year, hopefully. It might change the name, but it already has 51,000 users and over 60,000 documents delivered, which is great. So this is the story. Now, going back to complexity. So complexity in everything you do, whether it's a business, whether it's work, whether it's life. Complexity is not a badge. It's a tax. I'm not saying that it's bad to pay taxes, but good entrepreneurs reduce their taxes. Taxes are a must. We all have to pay them, but this is a tax on you. Why? Because it slows your decisions. It increases errors, as we saw in the story I shared, and it kills adoption, adoption of your products, of whatever you're thinking about building. So I should probably, I've asked you, uh, you know, what do you guys, what are your profiles? But I'm assuming I'm talking to students who often carry ideas, and that tomorrow these ideas are going to change our society. So what I prepare as a content is, just to be broad and not be tech specific, app specific, or product specific. So just remember this. The first core message I want you to remember is that it's a tax. Okay, you need to seek to destroy complexity everywhere you see it in your business processes or your daily life. And an entrepreneur's job is to turn complexity into three things that you have to know. One, a simple user journey. Okay, in whatever you're selling or you're doing, if your customer or user does not find it simple, it's just a tool, it's a chore. So you have to have a simple user journey. Okay, and you have to have, number two, a reliable process. A reliable process meaning that if it fails or it doesn't work, there is an alternative, or it knows that it failed and it reports that to you. So that's what reliable process to me means. And measurable outcome. If you deploy a solution, you sell a product out there, how do you measure your impact? How do you know that what you're selling works? Are your clients satisfied? Are they not satisfied? So you have to have that measurable outcome loop. So technology is important, but it's not teachers. Tech is leverage. It's fewer steps, fewer costs, fewer risks, and the capability to scale and go very quickly. So if your product needs a training session, you built a tool, not a solution. And of course, you know that entrepreneurship, it's all about finding good problems and solving them with an elegant solution. So you want to create solutions. You don't want to just create tools. So if you were to ask me, can I adopt a framework to simplify complexity? Well, you can. There is lots of books on that, but you can, adopt simple steps. Okay, so simplify, standardize, and scale. Simplify, standardize, and scale. So when you simplify, before you want to remove complexity on something and add in technology to it, you have to simplify it. So I go back to my story with the Waraqi to illustrate the example. One of the ministers I met a while back told me, hey, you are investing in building technology for something that we will delete. It will no longer be required. I said, yeah, well, I wish you would delete it, because then I won't have to work on it and my life becomes simple and I work on other things. But the problem is, you can't, because there is a reality. You have to understand the context of the reality you're trying to simplify. Every country has signature notary in the entire world. The only difference between United States and Morocco is that in United States, you notarize very important documents, such as owning a house and letting someone do something in your name. That's important. In Morocco, you have to notarize every type of documents because of the lack of the trust. How does trust is being built? It's generational change. I mean, if you tell me the trust level, like in Norway or the US, and like in Morocco, I mean, Morocco is where we're at, but in like Sri Lanka or other countries like Zimbabwe, the trust is huge, So what are you going to wait for you, the next generation, and your kids and your kids' kids to understand and trust each other, and then the doing business will be simple. Or you adopt a digital solution, solves the problem, and do it now. So simplify. Go back to simplify. Map the journey where the users, in your case, will drop the product or pick up the product or repeat the step or ask for help. So if there are any steps that you don't need to be there, remove them, take them out. Because when tomorrow you hit the workforce, you're going to integrate companies that just do things. Oh, we have a procedure for this. But nobody questions it. Nobody says, why do we do this? Why do we have to sign this and give it to this one to sign it and do this and do that? Why? We don't know, because we came to this company 30 years ago, and then the founder did this, and then this one did this. So nobody ever asks, why are we doing things? So if you can eliminate steps, take them out. Map up the journey and take off things that you do not need. Okay? Also, when you're building apps or solutions or processes, kill the checkbox complexity. The checkbox complexity is check this, this one needs to be approved by this, and this one needs to be approved by that. Kill all of that. Approvals, redundant documents, as we say in Arabic, kill that stuff. If you don't need it, you don't need it. Kill it. Take the steps out before you simplify complexity. So if a step doesn't reduce risk or increase value, it's a waste. Remember this. Reduce risk and give me value. If you don't do one of these two things, I don't need you. I take you out of the process. Second, standardize. When you standardize and you have methods that work, standardize them. Make them into paperwork, make them a practice, make it like a religion. You have to do this. And then this is what technology comes in handy, because you have to use APIs, modular services, for identity, for payment, for notification, for document management, for support, define data contracts. You have to use terminology within your environment. What is a client? What is a customer? What is an invoice? What is a product? What is a case? What is a signature? What is a proof? And you have to catalog that and make sure that all your teams speak the same language, okay? I used to work at Microsoft. We had an internal portal for acronyms, because when you join calls, people will be like, yeah, there's a PSD on a PTS thing. And if you're new, you're like, what? What? PTSD? What is that? Post drama? What? And they go, oh, you're new. Go to this portal so you know how we speak. That also is a complexity, by the way, but it's another subject. So create golden paths, things that work, replicate them, scale them, okay? And handle edge cases as a second. Culturally, what I found out is that we are a society that, because trust is so important, if we implement a process and we find out that there is a chance that 1% of the users are going to commit fraud or commit a crime, we're going to punish 99% of the users to prevent that 1% from doing something bad. Think of how awful this is for business. On the contrary, what you should do is like what Roosevelt said, trust, but verify. And this is where technology comes in handy, because if you have a way to trace everything that happened on a platform, let people do what they want. Once we find out that someone did something bad, we will punish them. And we have a working system that's perfectly efficient. So third point in the simplification framework, like I said, first point is simplify. Second point is standardize, industrialize, use technology. And the third point is scale. And this too, technology comes in very handy. So when you scale, operational excellence beats every clever code. You can't have an operation that's not running well and then you add the best app on it. It's not going to work. Okay, you have to have excellence in your operational. So using technology again, when you add observability, okay, things like logs, metrics, traces, service level objectives, and service level agreements. What does good mean? What does a good product or a good solution for the client means. What does it mean? Okay. I need to observe that within my system. I need that. And build feedback loops, product analysis, weekly fixes, measurable improvements like we do. For instance, we only have 50,000 users in Rocky, but we have 2 calls a week where we analyze incidents, support. What are we, what works best? What are the users thinking? What do they need? I mean, this is a government service, but we are working on it as a private sector, and this is the best way to do things. There is a speech from our king that says that these two sectors, private and public, they need to work together, okay? And that's what we're doing. We are trying also to influence the government to run its business as a business. Think about quality for the user, because they're doing things for them, for their work. They're not putting the user at the center of their preoccupations. So we're trying to help them do that. So we have to have a good service. We have to analyze our product, okay? And then you will fall into costs. You know, things cost money. Running a business costs money. Support, operations, building a new version, it costs money. So this cost, you have to treat it as a feature, as latency, things like performance, cloud bills, human time. These are features. You have to deal with them, but you need to make the complexity go out by adopting these, this framework. Again, framework for me: simplify, standardize, scale. Simplify, standardize, and scale. Scale is not growth. Scale is growth without chaos, okay? A lot of startups, when they start, a friend of mine I was with last week, him and his wife, they had a pharmacy, and they launched during COVID. They sold their first product during COVID. Now they are one of the leading pharmaceutical products in Morocco. They have 2,000 square meters warehouse. They have their website now, and they have over 50 people working for them. And they were just 2 during COVID. And luckily, this friend of mine was an IT guy. So when he scaled, he didn't scale with chaos, because he went doing what I was sharing. Some of the stuff I was sharing with you is that he started manually, but he grew up without chaos, because he managed to simplify things as he grew. He didn't wait until 1 order per day become 10,000 orders per day to start optimizing. Because if you go from 1 order a day to 10,000 without this simplification process in your head, you're gonna blow up. You're gonna explode, and chances are your clients are gonna leave you. Because I mean, I ordered 3 years ago or 3 days ago, my order never got confirmed, because you're still working manually. So retain that, please. Scale is not growth. Scale is growth without chaos. Now, tech strategies. I know your generation, you love technology, you're born in it, you grew up in it, it's great, and of course, it's very important. So when it comes to strategies, a business with no constraints, with no problems, doesn't exist. So you have to build around the constraints that you have. You have to accept them, and you have to build around them. And every bottleneck that you usually find goes back to trust, not technology, okay? Because technology is simple. You can buy software, you can have it developed. You have services for security, compliance, proof, accountability, but you will go back to trust. What I started my story with, trust. Okay, that's where your bottleneck is. I'll give you an example. For instance, my friend's pharmacy, the trust is, well, are you shipping the right products? Are you not making an error putting the product in the box? Okay. Well, for that, I have to have 3 people verify the order. That's complexity. Okay. Today, with things like AI, we can use AI to verify using just a simple image of the product, if that's it. See, that's just an example. Going back to Waraki, what's the complexity? How does Waraki work today? Well, Waraki is very simple. It uses the police system. You scan your ID, you do a facial recognition, and you put the document you want to sign, and you sign it electronically, and you don't go see anyone. And you can do this in 2 minutes, 24/7. Okay? That's what the bottleneck was when I was telling you the story. In regulated markets, audibility, I'm not going to pronounce that. Audit, okay, auditability. And it means sophistication. When you have rules, when you have a market that has rules, you have sophistications. Oracle is the best example for sophistication because there's regulation, there's a lot of things. Now, my advice to you, especially to the Moroccans who are building here for Morocco, there's an entity called CNDP that you have to approach and that you have to go learn about. Because when you first hear what they are for data protection, you're like, oh, it's another administrative step. It's more bureaucracy, but it's really not. It's actually an entity that will help you make sure that your product is built since day one, compliant to Moroccan laws and regulation. This is very important because most people build solutions and when they deploy them, they're like, ah, I didn't get authorization from CNDP. That's going to take me a while. I'm not going to do it. Let me just deploy it. That's against the law. But when you approach them at first, they actually give you guidelines. They help you. They make sure that your product is not, a problem since day one. If you take the automotive industry, whenever a manufacturer builds a new car, they have to wait a year, homologation, tests. That's a different industry, okay? They can't reduce that complexity. But you building a new product, don't follow what's being done in other industries. Look for ways to optimize and reduce your launch. So for tech strategies, I have 5 strategies I wanna share with you. The first one is build around your constraints. Okay, if you can't remove them, build around them. They're gonna be there. Automate them. API first thinking when you want to build a solution or a product. Think APIs. I'll go back to Oracle because again, I need you to see a real world problem what I'm talking about. In Oracle, when we started building it, we didn't think APIs. Honestly, I'm not going to tell you, yeah, we were good. We thought about that. We did not think about that. How do we find out? We found out when we started pitching our product to companies like banks. We have a client that they do 11,000 credit contracts a month. 11,000. Now, do you want them to work their credit system and then your system? No. Again, complexity. But if Oracle has APIs, they can keep working on their system, and through APIs, the contract will be sent to Oracle, signed electronically by the client, and then come back to their system. APIs. Think APIs. That's the second strategy. Okay? And document your APIs, and you can sell them. Automate the boring 20% and consume the 80% of the time. So that's strategy number 3. Automate the boring 20% that consume 80% of the time. Again, strategy number 3, automate the boring 20%, because there are things that are boring for your customers and for your teams, okay? For us, we'll give an example. Customer support triage, when we get an email from our users, who does email to? Is it payment issue? Is it signature issue? Is it user interface issue? Is it user not educated issue? How do we do the triage? Okay, we have to automate that. I can't have a mailbox where I receive 1,000 emails a day and I can count on people to go read them one by one and be like, this guy with this. No, you can't do that. Okay, you have to automate this. It's a boring task, but you have to automate it. Okay. Document intake. Today, you guys have access to tools, AI. When I get a document, I have agentic AI. I extract the info and I automate. Sales workflows, qualifications. Do I have good leads? Is this a good customer for me? And of course, reporting. I'm old. I remember a long time ago where the secretaries of the boss will come see IT and say, hey, the boss wants this report this week and we have to go work it in BI and Excel. No, you have to have automated reporting as well. Strategy number 4 is make decisions with evidence. And this is a hard one, especially when it comes to technology, because old people like me, we are like, if I know something works, it's very hard for you, young person, to convince me to try something new. And I live it with my team, trust me. So You can't make decisions based on your emotion or how you feel about technology or your past experience. That's all out. Okay. You have to make decisions with evidence. Okay. Every critical action should generate a proof trade. Who did what and when and what data. Okay. When you evaluate these technology strategies, you have to look at data, evidence, and then pick. This is how you win enterprise trust within companies and also government trust and reduce disputes. Okay, evidence is key. People say, in God we trust, everybody else bring data. Your tech choices must be driven by your evidence. And the last strategy is productized service. Sorry. Your last strategy is productized service. Project is called products. Okay. A customer for each client is a growth trap. Okay. If you're building a project, for instance, and I made this mistake, especially with Algo Consulting, which is the first company I built because we built a lot of custom software for governments, for ministries, for clients in the insurance, banking industry. And the mistake that we made was um, we built huge solutions that only had one client. Okay, so when you invest that much, if the client is paying you good money for it, go for it, do it. But if you're going like, yeah, I can build it for this client and this is a good solution, and maybe I can sell it to another client and I'll take the risk and I'll invest with the client so he doesn't pay a lot and all that. Yeah, those are bad decisions. You have to work on ideas that can scale and can have many clients. So for your technology strategies, if a project has a low chance to be a product and you can sell it to many, it's probably just having fun and learning new experience, which is good. Okay. Build a core product, control configuration, and you have to limit the devs and the customization and be able to deploy it. So um, I have someone once told me that a startup dies from custom work disguised as innovation. And I am living this with Waraki today. We get companies that call us and say, hey, our CEO who signs all the important document is very busy. So he wants his secretary that has been his secretary for 30 years, like his own sister, or sometimes his own sister. I mean, his really own sister. He trusts her. So he doesn't want to go inside your app and start reading and signing documents electronically or on the computer. He wants her to do all of that after she talks to him on the phone. And he said, yeah, sign that, sign that, sign that. Well, this is great for this business and the trust he has for his sister. But I'm sorry, I cannot modify a product destined to millions of people and adopt this feature for you because you trust your sister. No, not going to happen. So I hope you get the point. You have to have features that work for everyone. Okay. So next point is, of course, AI. AI is here. We have to talk about it. What I want to teach you that's actually useful, it's very hard to decide for me. When I tried to prepare for this, I didn't prepare well. Sorry, but for AI, it's changing a lot of companies. A lot of entrepreneurs are facing, huge revolutions in what they do. AI turns, first of all, for us in tech, it turns language into an interface. You grew up with software interfaces. You have to know that this interface that I'm using today to speak with you, Teams, is bound to change one day. The interface of Waraki, we're already working on changing it. Because if you noticed, our voice now with AI became an interface. There are now interfaces or solutions where I don't need to do anything. And we will try to anticipate on that. For Waraki, for instance, we are testing models to say, hey, Waraki, in ناتشورال دارجة وراقي بغيت شهادة السكنة ديالي دابا and that's it. It will go fetch it. It knows your ID. It knows your voice. You're already authenticated. Um, and it can go fetch it. I don't need to go in and click and put my face and do all of that stuff. So this is an example of the first changes that are going to hit us is that the human interface, chat, voice, docs, even workflows and become software thanks to agentic AI or agents. The big shift from apps people click will be systems that execute. I don't need to click anything. The system really knows what I want and it will execute. And today's practical AI stack that you should get familiarized with if you're not already is first the model, LLM, language learning model. Okay. Um, Practical AI that students can understand today is mainly LLM, what every model can do. Your business knowledge, your documents, your database, your policies, um, and retrieval, what we call RAG. So retrievals come from your answers of what you feed AI, the quality of data that you give it so it can help you. Okay. Most likely what we're all doing right now is that we're building simple AI tools. I'm doing it in Algo for clients. Today I was on a call with the client in Middle East to automate, sending emails, creating tickets for support, generate quotes for clients, update their CRM. Um, we deployed, he went from 20 workers that do this stuff to 2, okay? That just supervise our AI agent that does that, okay? In the software development world, us in Algo, we reduce our testing team. We don't have many test engineers like we used before because AI now does evaluation for us. It tests, um, it tests our software, it tests itself, it catches its own hallucinations, its own failures, it's aware of them, and it fixes them. Okay, guardrails. Cybersecurity is very important. AI is playing a huge role in cybersecurity today, with privacy, with permission checks. So today, AI without your data or demo is just a demo. It's AI with your own data and your own business and your own knowledge. It is a business. Okay, it's reliable. So I encourage you to spend time on AI and what can help you in all aspects of life, not just complexity or running efficient um, company using technology. So the current direction of travel, AI, for me, it's like the invention of electricity. The future, if I were to put it in simple words, um, without hype, these trajectories that matter for the next 12 to 24 months are get to learn agentic workflows, AI that doesn't just answer, it does tasks for you across platforms, across your CRM, your finances, your support, multimodal agents, text, image, audio, video. This is huge for customer support and inspection and education compliance. Now, you've all used apps, probably like Glovo, right? You all had to chat with support. How cool would that be if instead of typing and speaking to someone, you could just talk to, send a voice message and your problem is solved in 2 or 3 voice messages tops. But, send me a photo. What is that? I mean, this is just an example. Today, there is smaller and cheaper models. So more AI is moving on device, on edge for privacy and latency costs. So for those of you who study computer science, they know what I'm talking about here, about smaller and cheaper models, sovereign models as well, because sometimes you'll be facing an issue. Like for us, for Oraki using AI, we cannot use non-sovereign AI internationally. We can't allow for Moroccan citizens' data to travel outside of Morocco or Moroccan borders. So this is the constraint as well that you have to work with. So enterprise AI, excuse me. Like I said, governance, the winners would be those who can prove security, audibility, and quality. Okay, LLM ops, also for the computer scientist of you, is going to become mandatory. It is already in certain countries for testing, monitoring AI models, version control, data set management, all that good stuff. And of course, security is real. I mean, You'd hear people saying, "Hey, with digital, there's a huge cybersecurity risks." Yeah, well, when we invented the airplane, we invented the crash of the airplanes, and today everybody's taking planes. I mean, do you know of people who never fly? I don't. I mean, I know people who hate flying, but they fly. So it's a reality. You have to deal with it. There are measures, there's skills, there are talents, there are solutions, and um, it just reduces the complexity. So the future is not one super app or one super model. It's many models orchestrated, governed, and measured. So this is very important. And lastly, to close my talk, I'm going to share with you the don'ts. Um, One of my early mentors told me in the US that it's always good to know what not to do. Okay. And it leaves you open for knowing what to do or innovating or coming up with new ideas. So that's why I like to share with young people things about what not to do. So prepared a little list for you of don'ts. Okay. This is high value warnings for students. Don't build AI feature before you have a clear workflow and a success metric. Okay. And this is for those of you who want to invest time and money into doing something. This means begin with the end in mind. If you can't measure the success, don't start building AI for it. Okay. Don't tell AI to invent facts. Don't. Okay. Some AIs will tell you no. So use, like I said, RAG plus citations plus allow I don't know. Okay. In your prompts, don't ask it to come up with facts because it will set you up for failure or for catastrophe. Okay. Don't ignore privacy and security ever. Like I said, I talked about CNDP earlier. And there's CNIL in France, GDPR. You have to read on it. Don't ignore privacy and security. Please work on them. And security in Morocco, we have the GSSE that belongs to the Ministry of Defense. They're also reachable. You can email them, you can contact them, and they are willing to help. They are here for the sovereignty and security of our systems of what we built for Morocco, for Africa, and for the world as well. So, last one, don't chase tools weekly. Okay. I've known some people that every week they're looking for a new AI tool to do this. Don't. Pick a stack, snip, measure, and iterate. Okay. Don't be a window shopper for AI tools. Okay. You have to concentrate on your business. So the hype ships, slides, and execution ships products. Remember that. And with that, I end this talk and I'm open to questions and answers. And I hope I wasn't too long. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Tariq, for that very insightful and practical session. Now we will move to the Q&A. So if you have any questions, just drop them into chat, or you can also raise your hand and activate your mic for questions. I also see a question from Rihab Rafiq. So Rihab is asking you, Mr. Tariq, in your experience, how do you decide which parts of a complex system to simplify first without compromising the reliability or scalability of the process?
Well, it's a very good question, and it's the answer is straightforward. It's the part that hurts the most. Okay. So today, if you're telling me I have a headache and I have a toothache, which one, or my leg is broken, which one would you go see the doctor for first? It's the one that hurts the most. And in businesses, it's often the one that costs a lot or the one that causes most delays. That's the one you start with. And then you move on. I mean, you do a list of what the priorities are, you rank them, and then you tackle one by one until, I mean, you're always going to have complexity but it's better to have complexity with them. If you ask me between a toothache, broken leg, and a headache, I'll tell you, you know what? Start with the leg so I can move, to go to the doctor, and then I go to the tooth because it hurts more than the headache. And you know what? The headache, I can do Tylenol or Doliprane or whatever. I can manage it. So.
Thank you for your answer, Mr. Tariq. So anyone else? Mr. Abdurrahman, go ahead, please.
Hello, Mr. Tariq. Thank you for your coming and for your time. I'm Abdurrahman Shakor from M6P. We are working on a NetTech solution for students in high school to teach scientific materials in a way for the new way the students learn because they are unfocused and unstructured. So we know that this category of students is hard to convince and obtain since you enter a hard market, the GovTech. Also, the other thing, we started simple. We started with a simple dashboard, a simple prototype. But the scaling, we found that we may add some features. It will be complex because we will integrate AI and other stuff. How we maintain the simplicity, meanwhile the user experience is easy and good.
Well, it's a large question. I can't answer you because I don't know the details, all of them
Okay.
of the solution. I have to have lots of data to be able to provide a good answer. But if I can answer in a more generic way, first of all, I have to criticize your way of thinking and that's something very important I have to share with you is often we say you cross that bridge when you get there, but at the same time, if you're building for scalability, you have to consider that from now. It's just you have to rank it on your list of priorities. Okay, so to me in this context, again, I can't give you a straight answer without knowing a lot of things and asking you a lot of questions, and now we get into consulting. But to me, if your end users are the students, because any business you do, at the end of the day, it's know who your users are, okay? If your end users are high school, you said, right?
Yes, high school.
High school students. So what's a high school student? It's between the age of, what are we talking about? 15, 16 to 18, right?
Yes.
Well, from my limited knowledge is, and I was a teenager too, there are things that work, gratifications, winning points, gaming, you know,
Yes.
gaming and gratification. I mean, look at social media, not just for adolescents, it's for adults. Anyway, it works on our dopamine and gratification. So you have to find these key triggers that will let your user use it every day, continue to use it, and be your ambassador and push the product and scale for you. So you externalize your scaling effort to basically your user, and that's what successful social media
Yes.
models did with us. So
And how to go for a simple prototype to a full functional app.
there's a lot of steps that go into that. I mean, an MVP, most valuable, you know, product version, could be going to the first question is what's the biggest problem you solve? What's the thing that, you know, for students, for instance, if you tell me, well, everyone is struggling in mathematics in this school or in this subject, that you're going to tackle that first and say, hey, if you do this, it's going to help you solve that problem, and this is how it's going. So you have, I mean, I can't give you a generic answer. It's specific to the context. So, but you have to find the first pain point, kill it, and then talk about it. You know, tell people this is what, you know, market it, sell it, and then that will open your eyes to other features to develop later. But user feedback is very important. You know, we built many
Of course.
solutions without thinking about user feedback, but you have to have an MVP, beta version, launch it to users, and just listen to them what they have to say. So
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
there is a
Thank you,
question here.
Abdurrahman, for this very good question. Thank you, Mr. Tariq, for your answer. We have another question from Mr. Musa, I guess. So Musa is asking, what is the most common psychological barrier people face when trying to unlearn complex habits? Very good one.
That's very good question. It's harder to unlearn than to learn, because when you learn something, and especially when it gives you a result and it was useful for you, it's very hard to unlearn it. Um, what this takes me back to when I said evidence. People have, if you bring evidence, it's all about your skills of persuasion and of argumenting what you're trying to get people to unlearn. We lived that within our own teams. When AI started showing up, we had very senior developers, very, very good people, technically all around, that just refused to stop doing things the way they have done for 10 years. It's human. It's there. If you tell me, I've been using this elevator in my house for like 10 years, and now you're talking about a tube that costs money and don't know how it works. No, bro, I use the elevator. I use it. It's human nature. So it's change. You have to study change management, and a lot of psychology goes into it. And a lot of people, if you take their hand and walk them through the process and give them good arguments, listen to them. Because one of the big things that in any business you do, communication is key. If you don't bring in someone and say, explain your fears to me. I want to be in your shoes. I want to understand where you're coming from. I want to see things from your angle. If you can't do this, you yourself could be wrong, and you're never going to have empathy to understand where the fear comes from. And once you understand where the fear comes from, you will be able to provide arguments to reassure that person. Going back to our experience with Waraqi, people are like, yeah, but when I sign my document, I take it with me. The government doesn't need to see it. It doesn't. And we're like, yeah, fine. With us, once you sign it, it goes off our server. Same thing. What's your other fear? Yeah, fraud. Well, our system is better. It's better than policemen because it does facial recognition. It's better than checking a photo on a fake ID. So you have to be able to get that feedback of why we are resisting the change. Oh, next question.
So I guess this is gonna be our last question from Mrs. Hind Hamiti. So Hind is asking, looking back at your own journey, was there a moment when you realized you had to simplify a process in your work, and how did that change the way you approach building solutions today?
Oh, that's a very good question to end this with. I thought about this a while back. For those of you who are fans and follow Steve Jobs, he said something a while back. He said that you can only connect the dots looking backwards. Life is amazing. Life is beautiful. Life is full of surprises. Sometimes you do things and you never understand why you do them. So to me, when I tried to connect my dots, I went back to the first code I wrote, or the first solution that I wrote. And I was 15 years old or 14 years old in Ben Sliman in Morocco, when there was no internet in Morocco. Internet was only in one school just a year ago, and it was unheard of. We didn't have internet. And my mother was a lawyer, and she invested in a computer, which was expensive back then, something like 40,000 dirhams. And she also had to pay this software guy to build a system for her to manage her court dates. And I remember her complaining that it's expensive and this and that. And she had two secretaries that refused to go from dactylo typewriters to computers. And I'd sneak out at night to her office and try to play with the machine because, mind you, those machines were not for kids. It was forbidden to touch those. So to me, I was trying just to figure stuff out for years and learn how to code and all that. Of course, the stuff I built, I mean, she never used it, but it felt like something I tried to help and contribute. The second solution that I built was at the university in Colorado. I worked at what we call a LARC, a Learning and Resource Center, like library, computer labs, and all that. And as a technician or an agent at the LARC, every time a student comes, and this is like 1997, 98, every time a student comes to use the resources of the university, they have to sign in. They have to sign in. They put the dates, the hour they got in, and then when they leave, they put the hour they got out, and they put their name and student ID and on a piece of paper. But at the end of every semester, we were tasked as the technicians, in order for the university to get subvention or government aid, we have to provide proof of reporting of the usage of the resources. So people would sit there and start typing in Excel, student this, student that, he came in, he left that, and all that. And I was like, no, we're going to do a computer at the door, and people are going to do that, and we're going to have reporting every day. We're not going to sit here for 2 weeks working on this twice a year. So I built that for the school. I did it. I talked to my boss. Now we did it. It worked. Now all campuses started using it. Years on, later on when I graduated, I was at school with some friends, and I saw people use it. And, I had a mixed feeling of pride because that's me. I did that. And also didn't pay me enough for doing it. And my third real solution was when I was 20 years old. When I got my first software development job, I was hired in Colorado by this civil engineering company, and they had 9 offices all over Wyoming, Colorado, and Texas. And they had engineers and technicians in the lab. They test materials and all that. And they would write this down on paper. And they had Excel. They had old accounting software. And they hired me as a software developer when I was 20. And I stopped going to school. And I took 2 years of my life. All I did was code for 2 years. So I automated everything they do, gave them tablets. We went and bought an ERP for accounting and finance. I didn't want to develop that. And then developed specific for their lab, for the field construction. And the day I did the demo for the CEO, the founder, and all the managers, the executives, when I did the demo and I finished, they all stood up and they started applauding. I was only 20 years old. That moment, maybe it was an ego of a 20-year-old kid, from Ben Slimane in Morocco, being applauded in Colorado by a set of executives for 2 years of hard work, and they're adopting it. At that moment, I actually felt how much technology can really change the way we work, the way we live, and help people. Because what I didn't share with you is that these engineers, 500 people, their life was really hard, entering data into multiple systems, using paper. They gained an efficiency. To give you an example, the work that would take a week was done in half a day. So thanks to technology. And that was really the first moment it hit me. I really love this. I think I want to do this, till I die. So maybe not now, I'm not saying till I die, but that was the moment where I decided, technology helps people live better, so I'm going to do it. And in the companies I have, like Algo, we built, all of you use software we did. If you took the train, TGV system, the ticketing, that's us. If you do things like listen to hit radio on your mobile app, that's us. During COVID system, we built the system for free for the government. We built many solutions for our country. Nusuk in Saudi Arabia for Hajj, we are one of the companies that developed that as well. So it really gives your life a certain purpose and happiness to know that your work actually helps people live better lives. So thank you for that question. It's very emotional.
Thanks to you, Mr. Tariq, for your answer. I guess we still have Mr. Bouhamidi Zaki. You can go ahead if you have any question to ask.
Yes, thank you so much. First of all, Ramadan Kareem to you all. And it's my honor to be here and learn from your insightful talk, Mr. Tariq. I'm particularly interested in the second strategic point you mentioned, which is APIs, because I understand that working with APIs is extremely valuable and allows us to focus on building strong core services. However, in our system, in our ecosystem, one of the main challenges we face is gaining access to APIs. So my question is, how can we build trust with API owners and establish a reliable collaboration? Is there any magical way or specific strategies or a legal framework that help create that kind of partnership?
Well, listen, Zaki, you might have yourself an idea or a project too. I totally agree with you. APIs are never at the core or at the face of what we build. They're usually technical things that we come back and hit developers with once we face the real business issue. What I tell my teams is when you're designing software, when you're working on architecture, what you have to do is you always have to work on what we call today service-oriented, or long time ago, service-oriented architecture, now microservices, is before we're building apps for users, right? But behind what we're controlling business objects, sets of data. I have to work on an enterprise architecture that makes it so that today I'm not driven only by the user experience, which is very important. I'm also driven by the business and how it works. So everything I design in the backend, all my architecture in the backend, it has to follow principles that we've known for years: loosely coupled, independent, secure, scalable, and just every function or object or task that you build, you have to contain it in its own container, isolate it, and make sure that it's reachable by others who are authorized. So you build with security in mind, with privacy in mind, and these are like just good design core principles. Now, to answer your questions, it should be in the strategy of every company. Like I said, the mistake I made with Oracle is that I didn't do that in the beginning, and then my team paid the price for it, so they had to do it last minute. And when you do things last minute, they're not well done. So how to build a trust system around the ecosystem, it's hard. However, you will see now that most companies that are service oriented to customers, they all have APIs. And it depends on your business model. If you're building a SaaS or a PaaS solution, you have to build APIs. I mean, it's hard for me to conceive today someone building an app for service, a tech app that doesn't have APIs. If you're doing that, you're just shutting down an important segment of the market. Some of them do. I mean, I've dealt with companies that are like, oh no, we don't want to provide that. We want to sell you the package and put it there. We don't want to, or we want to just sell you our service and you use our software. You have to go through our interface. You can't use through APIs. That's disappearing. So maybe it's not an idea for a project because that's going to disappear. Everybody's going to do it. And if you're building a solution now, you have to take the lead and force that on everybody that's working with you. Maybe force is the strong, but no. A good question. Thank you, Zaki.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tariq. I got the point.
Thank you, Mr. Zaki. Thank you, Mr. Tariq. So now, as we come to the end of this session, I would like to thank everyone for joining us and for your great participation. Special thank you goes to Mr. Tariq Fadli for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. So we hope you found the discussion inspiring and useful for your entrepreneurial journey. So thanks again, and we hope to see you in our upcoming webinars. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and bon courage à tous. Good luck to everyone.
Thank you. Very honored to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Bon courage. Bye.
Bye-bye. Merci.